The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California, right here at the studio at 316 Gimmick Street, coming to you with a little microphone on a stand in front of me, got my little handy recorder, and I got a big-ass bottle of water right here, room temperature, and I'm going to take this water in my hand, unscrew the lid, and take a swig for the working man. A swig of water for the working man and the working woman. And when you get off work, a swig of beer. How's that for you? Anywho, let's move on down the road. Hey, welcome to the Shizzo. I appreciate you guys hitting the download button. If you dig what you're hearing, hit the subscribe button. If you like it after that, tell two friends to tell two friends, and so forth and so on. That's how we got to spread the word like wildfire. This sunbuck is heard around the world, and y'all keep sending me emails, whether it's questions, suggestions, comments, insults, anything you got. Send it to questions@steveaustinshow.com so I can answer you or at least get some feedback. This show is like a big-ass wrestling match. And based on the information I receive, I can proceed accordingly to my next step. So keep sending your feedback. I can't answer every damn email. I try to do as much as I can. Some of them on the show, some of them by direct email, but I read them all. So I know where you're coming from, and I appreciate it. But this show is all over the world. So some of you cats that are way over there in them far-off places, keep telling two people, and that guy over in China, if you can understand this, tell a couple of your Chinese buddies and tell them to spread the word too. Help a brother out. Hey, speaking of help a brother out, I want to thank Ant Evans over there at the UFC. I want to thank Dana White over at the UFC for hooking a brother up, me, with 2 tickets to UFC 170. I drove down to Vegas in the worst traffic I've ever driven down to Las Vegas, and I don't know what in the flying hell was going on, but it was wall-to-wall, bumper-to-bumper traffic for 250 miles. I'm talking about some of the worst-ass, damn, stupid, dumb drivers I've ever seen in my life. I know they didn't listen to the Steve Austin Show because more of them would have been in the right-hand lane. Anyway, I finally made it into Las Vegas, checked into the hotel, had a damn good stay, and hell, Stephen Bonner came to my room on Saturday morning. Yeah, he just got finished with his workout. And we hooked up and opened up a can of audio whoop-ass talking about his career and what he's up to now. It was a good talk, and I enjoyed talking to him because I met Stephen Bonner at the WWE event at the Staples Center a couple of weeks ago. So we got a chance to hook up, got some business taken care of. I can actually say I can write this trip off because I'm here doing business. But anyway, the task at hand was to go down to the UFC 170 and watch Daniel Cormier make his debut in the light heavyweight division, dropping down from the heavyweight division, going into that 205-pound class. And I tell you what, people already know about Daniel Cormier as a heavyweight, as a light heavy, double dangerous. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens for DC from here on out, because he was supposed to take on Sugar Rashad Evans, who has a hellacious career in the UFC and is a damn good fighter. But Sugar Rashad Evans didn't make the fight. He was injured in training camp, so they got a guy named Patrick Cummins to take this fight on a real short notice. And as good as he did, and as much trash as he talked, he could not back that trash talk up. Once that bell rang in Octagon, D.C. had been rubbed the wrong way, and D.C. don't like to be rubbed the wrong way. And so it ended very quickly. Daniel Cormier wins his debut fight at 205. Congratulations, brother. I look forward to seeing you again, and look forward to seeing you as you make your way up into title contention, of which I have no doubt you will be there very soon. Probably, if not another fight, maybe 2, but other than that, championship match coming up for DC, in my opinion. But what do I know, folks? Hell, I'm just a dumbass pro wrestler trying to talk about audio whoop-ass and make entertainment for the working man and the working woman. Hey, man, speaking about the UFC 170, it was a great main event, short main event. Ronda Rousey versus Sarah McMahon, 2 Olympians, one a wrestler, one a judo player. I tell you what, when you watch Ronda Rousey walk to the ring with that walk she does, that's a BMF walk. When they play Bad Reputation by Joan Jett, Ronda Rousey comes down And she has that BMF walk, and she means business, and she takes care of business, mister. She imposed her will on Sarah McMahon. And I thought Sarah McMahon, she tried to stand up and trade blows with Ronda Rousey. And I think, man, just play to your strengths and go for the double leg right off the bat. Single leg, double leg, just go down and try to take Ronda Rousey off her feet. But I think she kind of played to Ronda Rousey's strengths, which is just Ronda Rousey moving forward, destroying things. So anyway, Ronda Rousey caught her with a knee in the liver / solar plexus. Sarah McMahon went down. Herb Dean made the stoppage. Maybe I would have liked to seen that stoppage 5 or 10 seconds later, but nonetheless, Herb Dean's a fine referee. And short main event, Ronda Rousey remains undefeated. And so now, who has the blueprint? Who has the guts, the determination, the game plan, and the skill set to take Ronda Rousey down? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I really thought McMahon could pull the upset if she kept taking Rousey down, frustrating her, and just trying to stay on top of her. Not really so much of a ground and pound, just taking her down. But that didn't happen, and I had a good time. Once again, thanks to my boy, Ant Evans. Thanks to Dana White. Hey, I was there, man. When I got on my Twitter account after the fights, I said that when I got on my Twitter account after the fights, I saw a bunch of people that had seen me on the front row. And they said, man, Austin looks like he's hammered. Austin's drinking too much at the UFC. Austin clearly off his rocker. Man, what are you talking about having too much to drink at the UFC? You ever tried to get a beer at a UFC event? Those gals are serving so much beer, it's hard to get their attention. I was yelling, waving my damn arms, and every time one of those girls passed by with about 10 beers on her tray, I was just slobbering like Pavlov's dog, like drooling. There's a big pile of drool right there underneath my seat. It's hard to get a beer there because the girls are working so hard because the UFC draws a thirsty crowd. I know. I'm an eyewitness. I experienced. I was one of the thirstiest cats inside that building. Next time I go to a UFC event, I'm going to BYOB. I'm going to bring my own cooler and bring my own beer. What do you think about that, Ant Evans? Are y'all going to stop me? Are y'all going to get me some beer? Anyway, I didn't have too much beer, man. I was having a damn good time, man. They got the music, got the vibe, got the good action in the octagon. A couple of guys come down to some AC/DC songs. Sarah McMahon came down to Disturbed, Indestructible. Ronda, Bad Reputation. Joan Jett. I mean, man, it's hard not to groove to music like that. So anyway, man, I was just having a good time, man, chilling, drinking some beers. I enjoyed a fight game. My next door neighbor at the fight, the guy sitting next to me, was Uriah Faber. Man, I've been a Uriah Faber fan for a long time. It's funny, before he started sitting next to me, his buddy was sitting right next to me. And I looked over at him, and Uriah looks at me, and he sticks his hand out, and I stick my hand out, and he goes, Uriah. And as soon as he said Uriah, I said, Uriah. And I said, I know who you are. Jesus Christ, I don't think he knew how big of a fan I was of the MMA. So we sat there and shot the breeze the entire night. And I've been meaning to go up to Sacramento to the super training gym to get some more health and weightlifting tips from Mark Smelly Bell over at Super Training Gym. And when I get out to Sacramento and talk to Smelly Bell, I'll get over there and see if I can line up a can of Audio Whoop-Ass to be opened by myself and Uriah Faber over at the Team Alpha Male camp, because they're operating out of the same city. And then while I was sitting there, here comes old KL Sonnen to say hello. And I guess he'd come back from Brazil. The Ultimate Fighter's done wrapped up shooting. And he looked like $1 million, looked in good shape. I think I could have took him down if I wanted to. He wasn't ready for it, boy. I shot the damn single on him and took KL down and tried to put him in an arm bar. All right, I'm just kidding. It sounded good, though, didn't it? Had a great time at the UFC, but I tell you what, man, people out there are crazier than hell. I got to watch my damn language because it's a family-friendly show. We went out for a steak dinner. What's that place called? Charlie Palmer's Steakhouse? Maybe I got it wrong. It's at the Four Seasons. And, man, I just wanted to get a ribeye and some spinach and get out of Dodge, because I was kind of been on a little bit of a diet getting ready for the Broken Skull Challenge, which we're going to roll cameras on in about 10 days. I think we go to camera on March 3rd and March 4th, bringing the toughest badasses in America to the Broken Skull Ranch to compete against each other and to get the opportunity to run my personally designed obstacle course, the Skull Buster, the obstacle course that was specifically designed to whip a man's ass. We fixed to go to camera to do that. So trying to watch what I was eating. I know y'all saw me drinking all that Bud Light at the Octagon, but when it came time for dinner, I just wanted a steak, some spinach, and get out of there. Turns out the chef was a big fan. He starts sending all this stuff to the table, and the guy starts putting all this stuff on the table like, hey, man, we didn't order that. It was myself and my wife. He goes, no, it's compliments of the chef. Well, okay. Well, man, the compliments of the chef is he sent out some sushi. He sent me out a big-ass salad. He sent out some au gratin potatoes, Brussels sprouts, a couple other damn things. By the time I got my ribeye, I was about ready to tap out myself. But anyway, thanks to everybody over there. Had a damn good meal. They cooked the steak just perfect. And they actually had an IPA beer on the selection of beer. And I can't remember what kind of beer it was, but it was damn good. If I remember the name, I'd give it a shout out. But maybe I'll get my wife to come in here and hit me in the head with a steel chair and jar some of these memories. But anyway, swig of beer for all the people over at UFC and you crazy sunbucks in Las Vegas. I was glad to get out of Las Vegas. It don't take me too long to get enough of that city. It's a great city, but, it don't take me long to get a gut full. Thanks to Stephen Bonner, who came by on Saturday and opened up a can of audio whoop-ass. That show will be coming up in the near future. And, again, Lillian Garcia coming up on the Thursday show. Hey, guys, if you ain't picked up a Steve Austin Show audio whoop-ass T-shirt yet, you need to go to PodcastOne.com right now because we're giving all you working men and working women a special break. For the next 2 weeks, the T-shirts are only $14.95. Special discount for the next 2 weeks. Steve Austin Show audio whoop-ass T-shirts. Go to PodcastOne.com, click on the store link, and get yourself one of these badass black T-shirts today. Take advantage of our special deal while it lasts. Man, I'd take me a damn breath of fresh air right here. Y'all know I got Steve Regal, William Regal coming up. My old buddy, my old travel partner, guy I used to love to work with and basically just travel with, man. We had so many good times back in the day. And so some of the stuff I can't talk about, but we do talk about the stuff we can talk about. That's coming right up.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Here is my conversation with my buddy, Lord William Regal. Lord William Regal. I call him Steve Regal. What do you like to be called?
I don't care.
All right.
Steve's fine.
Bollocks?
Bollocks is good, yeah.
Hey, let's go back to the time when I met you at Center Stage TV. You just come in. I was like, man, William Regal or whatever they're calling you. You came in as William Regal?
No, I came in as Steve Regal.
Yeah. So that was the Lord thing when you got with Dundee.
That was later
right.
on, yes.
But I remember you came in. I can't remember who you was working with, and I watched you work. Like you were selling your ass, and I came up and I stuck my hand out. Hey, man, Steve Austin, man, nice to meet you. It was badass work. I just love the way you sold. And you had been working at that point probably 10 years?
Nearly 10 years, yeah.
So what got the bug up your ass? I mean, you're working your ass off in England. You come up the hard way, kind of learning the carnies, right?
Yeah.
And then, incredible technician, and you said, hey, I'm picking up my bags. I'm going to the United States of America.
Well,
what spurred that decision?
It started off in England, and I didn't think I'd go any further. I was quite happy working on the fairground. Honestly, I thought, because I had
that had been fun, but it had been tough.
It was, but I didn't feel tough at the time, because I was 16, playing at Bean Wrestlers, living in Wonderland, and it was Wonderland to me. I was, like, biggest amusement park in Britain. I'm wrestling on it and just living in that scene when it was still alive,
Yeah.
So I went down a lot in the 90s and stuff, but in the 80s it was still buzzing. There's shows on everywhere, there's clubs. It was just a great place to be. And I had no athletic ability. I wanted desperately to be a wrestler, but I wasn't any good. I was lucky to get a break.
No, but hear that.
But I had no athletic ability. I was no good at it. Luckily, I got a break to get in it. Got in it, and then like my view sort of changed. I was quite happy working there. Then I think, well, I'm slowly getting a bit better. Perhaps I can work on the bigger circuits in England, and I worked on that. And then when I got to about 18, I started looking. Probably about 18. I started seeing Dave Taylor and Tony Sinclair. And Pete Roberts was my big idol.
Right.
And they were never in England much. You'd see them occasionally on shows, and they always seemed to have a suntan, and they were always just coming back from somewhere sounding exotic to me. And they were like this small group of British heavyweight wrestlers that were world-renowned for being really technically sound, and they'd fly them in to make everybody look good and look like they could wrestle, you know, and do these long, drawn-out wrestling matches that people can't do anymore, you know, like between 8 or 15 5-minute round wrestling matches and put people in and out of things and all that. And so I thought, I'd like to be, that just sounded like the best job in the world, you know, because they weren't stars anywhere, they were just, but they made a lot of money doing, a lot of money for England standards, and they were always away. And I thought, that's what I want to do now. So then I started learning that kind of stuff, and luckily for me, because I was tall, I started to get heavier, you know, because it was always a bit of the heavyweights did that, and a lot of the other fellas didn't. Like the big stars in England were all smaller fellas, really. Right. It was the way it was. And so that was that. And so from 20, I got onto that kind of run from 20 to 24.
But let me stop you right there. All of the guys, the difference when you watch, you know, guys who just start in America versus guys who start in England, I mean, it's a European flavor, the style, it's completely different. Yeah. And a lot of, you know, the arm stuff, the reversals, the rolls, I don't even know how to describe it because I don't speak technical European wrestling jargon. But it's always interesting to see, and you can see a lot of your influence, or at least some European influence in Daniel Bryan, who can do a lot of that stuff. Yeah. And obviously he's having a great run right now, and I know you guys are really good friends. But why is it that you guys were just
do you want to know what I think it is? I've tried to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
First thing starts with the rules. The first thing starts with the rules. An open punch, you were disqualified instantly.
Okay, and y'all enforced the rules.
Enforced the rules.
Go.
So that's where the uppercuts come in.
Right.
That was where it was like strikes and uppercuts. The next thing that I think it comes from is the technical stuff. Is because the rings were so small, 14 foot most of them, and rock hard. Right. And so you had to, you couldn't be flying around doing a lot of
you got to put your time in and tell a different kind of story.
And it was also a matter of putting on only so many matches on the card.
Right.
Most cards used to only have 4 matches. Right. So everybody had to put time in. And it was just the way that it started with the rounds. The rounds were already in place. Yeah. Well, it just seemed to be that way. Because, I mean, believe me, I'm the big protector of British wrestling. And you know, I that's what I do and try and keep it. But if you go back and watch, a lot of it was rotten. There was incredibly good, brilliant technical wrestlers. But most of the big stars weren't. They weren't technically sound.
Really? But it's funny because when I saw you come to the United States, I could watch you go out with a guy who'd really literally been in a business for a couple of months. And as long as you could hang onto that guy's arm and put yourself in reversals and come out of it and go down and do the things with him, I mean, you could take a guy who was green as grass and have a pretty damn good match with him due to all that knowledge.
Due to that stuff. Well, there was several different types of wrestling in England. There was every weight class had a championship belt. Right. So you had your lightweights, middleweights, mid-heavyweights, heavyweights. The lightweight guys were Johnny Saint and Steve Gray. Johnny Saint will say that his style is what he calls escapology style, which is it's a show style of getting in and doing fancy things to get out of them. So Johnny Saint does this escapology style. It's really technically getting in and out of holds, but there's not a lot of aggression going on. It's very fancy looking wrestling.
Tit for tat almost.
Yes, but that's the style of it.
Right,
that's
I get it. I like watching his work.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff, and he does it incredibly well. It's bad when people try to copy his stuff because it just never looks right. You know, there's certain ways you have to be taught this. And then the heavy middleweights especially, that was the Mark Rocco and Marty Jones that popularised that style.
I mean, would you describe that as a technical high-speed cruiserweight
yes,
style.
that's where it all started.
Battering ram type stuff too. I mean,
incredible.
Yeah.
And anybody
stuff that would translate to Japan.
Yeah, well, it was taken to Japan, and people get it all mixed up and say that it was Tiger Mask that started that and Dynamite. It wasn't.
Right.
You go back and watch Marty Jones and Mark, and I say this a lot, but you go back and watch them from 76, 77, 78. They were doing stuff then that nobody had ever seen.
Right.
They invented that style, and it was that heavy wrestling-based style with very physical, because a lot of the lightweight stuff wasn't so physical. Very physical because they didn't like each other.
Right.
And so they were always trying to out-top each other, and they were
straight up shoot.
Yeah, they were not. Very
competitive.
Every other one they'd be putting one into each other, just because that they'd grown up together,
right.
and they didn't like each other. And they evolved this style, and then Dynamite came along when he was a kid, and he had a very technically, incredibly British style. But then he started doing that stuff. Must have picked it up off them. And it went, and then Tiger Mask came to England as Sammy Lee in the late 70s, and he had his own style, but and it was all this mixture of styles. But they were the ones that Mark and Marty were the two that set it all off. And then Tiger Mask, like Sammy Lee, went back to Japan, became Tiger Mask, took Rocco over there as his nemesis, Black Tiger, and that's where it became popular, and everybody thought it started then. But then there was the heavyweights. Now there was the show heavyweights, the Big Daddy and the Giant Haystacks, which were the big monsters and stuff. But then there were the very incredibly technically skilled heavyweights. But they weren't big stars in England. They were the ones that went overseas because they were in demand in Germany and Africa and India, and that they were. And
they wanted to see the more work aspect, rather than the attraction guys like Haystacks and Big Daddy.
Yeah, and so you would these heavyweight guys that I became a part of, they were basically trunks and boots guys with short haircuts, technicians that could go, and they were in demand all over the world because they could bring these.
They could work.
In. Yes. And that was it, and work with anybody, and put anybody in and out of things, and make them look like they could wrestle, whether they could or couldn't, which was a big skill to have. And they were always in demand, and they always had a lot of work, because the thing was, what you wanted to be if you were in England, if you were heavyweight, you wanted to go to Germany. You were in Germany.
You always talk about Germany. I know Fit went over a whole lot. Fit Finley, a good friend of yours, and the guy who I have so much respect for. What was the deal with Germany?
Well, Germany was 6 months of the year. Otto Vance, and the CWA, you would start off in... When I was doing it, you would start off for 3 weeks in Graz in Austria. It was ran in tournaments. So you were in the same building for weeks at a time with no travelling and a lot more money. Probably 3 times the money that you would be making in England.
And how were the houses?
Through the week, not so good. Tuesday nights was always good because it was free ladies and they always had some kind of beer promotion on.
Yeah.
And then, like, Wednesdays wouldn't be good. But weekends, they may have like a special thing on a Thursday.
Right.
Friday, Saturday would always be very good. Sunday was always some kind of a gimmick thing, like a chain match or something they'd built up to. So, there was...
How was Otto as a promoter?
I thought he was obviously a very smart guy to work.
Everybody I've talked to that was there loved it.
Yeah, I mean, so you were there.
And the lifestyle was kind of...
It was incredible, right? You go for 3 weeks in Graz, which is a beautiful city, right? And you all lived like the circus. You lived in trailers, caravans, and some of the places were in like in Germany, were in a big tent, like a circus tent, and you'd be on a big car park, and you could park your caravans just like the circus, next to the tent.
Yeah.
Or if you were in Austria, you'd be in these beautiful campsites in the middle of these mountains with lakes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have to be in the building or in the dressing room at 7 o'clock. Well, 6:30, it's time to drive over leave the campsite, and you'd be living on these campsites, go to the gym, hang out by the lake all day or the pool. It was a hell of a lifestyle, Sit and barbecue your food, and it was just good. So you have 3 weeks in Graz, then you do 7 weeks in Vienna. Well, 7 weeks in Vienna is about as good as it ever gets through the summer, right? It's the most beautiful city in Europe. Then you go into Hanover in Germany and do 9 weeks there, and then you do 5 weeks, take you up to Christmas in Bremen. It was a hell of a lifestyle, right? So no travelling, basically. The best of the best people to work with.
Right.
very good money for that period.
Now, were y'all
of time.
working straight matches, or were y'all doing the 5-minute rounds?
It was all
When I watch World of Sport, a lot of 5-minute rounds.
Yes, in England it was 5-minute rounds, and like sometimes 3 minutes, but usually 5 minutes, either 6 or 8 5-minute rounds. In Germany it was 5 4-minute rounds with the original, because it was run in tournaments over, say there was 20 fellas, you'd all wrestle each other over so many times, depending how long the tournament was,
right.
and that kind of a thing. And then like there'd be a tag match every night. That wouldn't be included in the tournament points and all that. So that
would they run a tag match straight through?
Yes.
Okay.
But the 5 4-minute rounds, that was the normal match in Germany. Well, if you went through a draw with somebody, then you did another match with them, and then they would have extra time. Maybe you'd have a 5 4-minute round, and if it went a draw again, you'd have an extra 10 minutes at the end of it, or sometimes an hour match. There'd be like these different things to make it interesting for the people coming, that these tournaments ran like that. That's how they sort of worked.
When I first started watching the World of Sports stuff, the 5-minute rounds kind of first for me, because I grew up all in American-style wrestling, usually run straight through, time. And many times under all 6 minutes, whatever. And so you go to the 5-minute rounds, I'm like, oh, man, this kind of threw me for a loop. But then I really started studying it. And each 5-minute round, it's like a mini match.
Yes.
Because you've got built-in psychology in 5-minute spurts.
Yes.
And how one guy comes, and maybe someone catches a fall or he's hurt the other guy. What's a minute break between rounds?
Yes.
And so it's very intriguing once you get into it and watch.
Well.
Hey, man, these guys are working their ass off. They're doing the great stuff in the ring and a lot of the technical stuff, because I was watching the lighter weight guys go. But just within the framework of each 5-minute period, and they know where they're going with it, depending on how many rounds they make. And do they go the distance? But what happens in each little setup, dude? Yeah. That's a lot of damn planning, and doing that for I don't know how many weeks in a row, whether you're doing the 4-minute rounds or in England doing the 5-minute rounds. But, man, if you're working every single night, you're damn sure getting your chops in.
Yes.
Like crazy.
A lot of reps.
It will really make you – if you have the ability to acclimate and be talented, if you can't learn there, you can't learn anywhere. But it's tough.
Yeah. Well, it didn't suit me. It was just –
Well, yeah, because you were used to it. But, okay, check this out. So, finally what was the big decision saying, let me pack up and get to the States? Because I just wanted to ask about the transition between going from rounds to our system when you came in as Steve Regal.
I waffle on a bit, right? So there's always
no.
back stuff.
No, good. I got the recorder running.
I was doing all that stuff. So from 20 till 24, I was never at home. I was literally wrestling in England maybe 2 months of the year. And I was living there, but I was off all the time. The last year I was there, 92, I was in England for 2 months. I was away for 9 months.
What'd your dad think when you hauled off and took off? Was he behind you? You think he's going to fall on your face? Wanted you to get a regular job?
He wanted me to take over his construction business and be a bricklayer, you know, and I just knew from a little kid.
Did you break his heart, or he was cool and supported you?
No, he broke his heart, but he's always supported me.
Oh, yeah.
He's just he's a great fella, and he's always, but I still think to this day, he still thinks I'm going to go back and start up his business again,
Yeah.
So I got traveling, and I was just non-stop traveling, and I was doing all this stuff. And then 1991, out of the blue, I get a FedEx come to my house from the WWF. I didn't even know what a FedEx van was or a FedEx. I'm sat in my house, and a van pulls up outside. I had a few things in my house that shouldn't have been in there. Let's put it that way. Because it was all, just the life and the people I hung ground with who were always buying and selling things, and, and not bad things, just video recorders and stuff, and that was part of just to get through life. That's what I did. And I thought it was the SWAT team come to get me. So I'm panicking. I see a van pull up outside, with writing on that I had no clue what it was. I thought, oh, here we go. Yeah. It's off now, right? Yeah. So I'm
caught up to me.
I'm sticking stuff under the couch and everything, just trying to ram stuff up in the attic. And there's a knock. Oh, here we go. And it's just left this letter on this FedEx from the WWF. Can you come to the Royal Albert Hall?
So you opened it.
Yeah, right. Well, I looked on the back and it said WWF. Oh, all right. So.
Now, what year was that?
That was 91.
Okay.
So I get this, can you come to the Royal Albert Hall? We'd like to look at you. where's this come from? This is like a punch in the face, right?
Yeah.
You know, a good punch
A
in
good
the
punch
face.
face.
Yeah. So I go down there, and I get down there, and I have a match at the Royal Albert Hall. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It was something they put on, it was like a special show for England, and they did a Battle Royal, and Davy Boy won the Battle Royal and that. And then they asked me to go to Wembley the next night, and they talked to me there, and they said, look, and that was in the days when everybody had a character, and they said, look, we like you. It could be several years till we get back in touch, but we will keep in touch, but we like you, and we'll find the right thing for you. Because I was only, this might have been 21, 22 maybe.
Yeah.
I said, great. A couple of weeks later, I get a call. WCW was on like late night TV in England. Can you come and do work for us? This was November of 91. Still to this day, don't know how I got that. I think it was Scott Hall, because I knew Scott from 1989 in Germany. I spent a couple of months with him there. I don't know who suggested me. I still don't know.
How did he do over in England? I mean, over in Germany.
Germany, fantastic.
Yeah. He was always a good worker.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
He was Texas Scott Hall.
He wore a big cowboy hat and big mustache.
People loved him. And
good-looking dude.
And he fit right in there.
Yeah.
You know, because he knew exactly how to do his stuff and to fit in with everybody. So, I don't know. I've asked him, and he's never admitted. He never said one way or the other. But anyway, so I go, and basically, Giant Haystacks was there, and they wanted to look at him. And I wrestled with Giant Haystacks all the time, hundreds of times, right? So they wanted me to wrestle him, and then they said, can you stay for the rest of the week because somebody's hurt or something? I still never found out what. So I'm okay, yeah, I'll stay with you. So we did a couple of days in London, and then we did a show in Sheffield, and then we did a show in Dublin. And in that week, I wrestled Terry Taylor, Jimmy.
That had been fun. You guys had a
incredible,
great match.
Yeah, and we'd never, because you know what winds me up a lot when people say, oh, well, I've got a different style. I never had any problems working with any of them fellas that from that era of group
that knew how to work.
Exactly.
Right.
It's nonsense. It's all nonsense. It's people who've never learnt the job properly.
Yeah.
If I turn your arm one way, it goes that way, and if you turn, I go that way, and if you hit me, I sell it that way, right? That's, and so there's anybody who gets that there's a point when, well, it has a difference. It's just people who don't know what they're doing, really,
right.
And they make excuses for their lack of abilities, right? So I had a great week. I worked with Michael Hayes, Terry Garvin, Terry Taylor, Giant Haystacks the one day, and then Oz. I worked with Kevin when he was still Oz.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh, double red rotten.
Yeah.
No, it was okay, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just he was not. He hadn't, he was still trying to find himself at that point, wasn't he? He wasn't sure, and that was a terrible gimmick he was given. But I remember being in Dublin. Anyway, so they said at the end of the week, well, we like you, we want you to come. So I'm thinking, well, whoever gets hold of me first, right? Because I'd seen the writing on the wall by then. You saw American TV. I mean, American shows were on TV in England now. Once you've seen that, you don't want to go back to watching, a little ring with a 100-watt light bulb above it.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. It's fun for a while. And all of a sudden you get a taste of, hey.
They see that production and everything. And I wanted to come to America, I mean, I always wanted to come to America. Everybody does, right? Well, most people do. So now it's looking like a natural chance for me to come. So I go about my business the next year, 92. I am absolutely book solid. I worked the first 2 months in England every single night. It was on fire. The TV World of Sport had been taken off TV in 1988, and it went through a few ups and downs.
Why did it get taken off TV?
There was a lot of it to do with the promotion and not making any new stars. That was one thing, but that's not everything. Basically, a fella called Greg Dyke, who now is the head of the BBC, came to ITV, and he decided that wrestling and darts is professional darts is a big thing in England, and snooker, things like that were too working class. He was a fella, Oxford educated or Cambridge educated fella. He wanted to upgrade everything, and thought that the working classes, which is most of Britain that watch TV, because there's such a big class system, he thought he knew better than they did. Right? So first thing he did was move wrestling. In a 2-year spell, he moved wrestling from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which it was always on, regular spot, 4 o'clock on a Saturday. There used to be a saying in England, everything stopped at 4 o'clock. That's the working classes.
So I was serious about their wrestling. Yeah.
Working classes watch wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? Moved it from 4 o'clock to midday in 1986. Everybody, not everybody, but most factories, everything else, everything worked half day on a Saturday in that period of time till 12:30. That was a work week in England, 5.5 days a week. Within a week of them moving it from 4 o'clock till 12, the figures dropped in half, just for the time spot. And then there was a lot of other things that went in with, not making any new stars and all kinds of stuff, production values and whatever else.
Yeah.
But within 2 years of watching the figures drop off, you've got perfect excuse to just take it off, right?
Right.
When it was took off, it was still getting 4-point-something million.
Yeah, Jesus.
It was still getting, people would die for that now, right? 4-point-something million. Main shows on a Saturday night don't get that. And that was when they took it off.
So then what happened to the wrestling scene there in England if they didn't have a TV?
It went underground for a while. A lot of people had to get jobs, you know. Brian Dixon, who was what we used to call the opposition promoter, he sort of came into his own then. Dale Martins, who ran the TV, sort of went away to a big degree. Brian Dixon kept running shows and he had all the best talent that was there and just kept running and running. Right. And everything was posters and word of mouth anyway. Right. Regular buildings, through the winter. Most places you did every month or every 2 weeks. And kept it going. And so it fluctuated a bit. But by 92, 91, 92, everything was on fire again. No TV, and all the buildings were doing incredibly well. Now, they're only small buildings, right? Between 3 and 5,000 people. But I was in the beginning of 92, it was Dave Taylor against Fit Finlay chasing for the British Championship, chasing each other on one tour. Mm-hmm. Ryan had 2 shows a night, and then the other show was Kendo Nagasaki in a tag match with whoever he was and whoever else was fitting in there. So you'd be going between the two. I was at that time. There was remember Evad Sullivan, Dave Sullivan. Yeah. Right, well, he was over. He'd been in Germany, and he came to England. And I was on a few shows with him. So we were just sort of moving around between the 2 tours, and just busy all the time. Or I'd be some nights I'd be on in the Nagasaki tags, me and whoever, and Pat Roach, and against them too, and whoever. Always working. And then March the 1st of that year, I went to India for a month, and then I went to Germany for about 10 days, and I went to South Africa, then I went to Egypt, and luckily I hadn't got any work booked for Germany. Was very, very hard to get in. It was a very close,
clicky.
Everybody clicky. Everybody wanted the spot there. Now I'd had bits of it here, there, and everywhere, and I get a call. I'm just sat at home. I've got the summer. I've got it booked up in England and stuff, but I hadn't got a lot else. And I know I had plenty of work coming up in September. I was going to go all kinds of places, I forget. But I get a call from Otto Vance. Can you start in Graz next week? Or in 3 days, I think, at the start of his tour for the rest of the year. Yeah, well, Steve Wright, Alex Wright's dad, he was fixing an aerial on his roof and fell off and broke his leg or done something.
He was a wrestler?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was
so Alex, second generation?
Yeah, so he was a big star, his dad. He was one of their mainstays.
Wow, interesting, I didn't know that.
For 20-odd years, yeah. Or you want to watch, there's a match of his dad, you want to talk about technical wrestlers, his dad against Tiger Mask from Japan. Steve Wright.
Steve Wright
versus Tiger Mask. Eats Tiger Mask's lunch.
Really?
For 20 minutes. Gives him nothing, not a drink of water.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And he just that's what he used to be like with everybody. It was like ride of your life trying to wrestle.
Right.
He was so fit and so in incredible condition. If you look at him, you'd think, this fella, he don't look like nothing.
Oh, I'm going to check it out.
People would be scared to death of him.
Really?
He would
how big a fella was he?
Not a big fella at all.
But just was a buzzsaw.
A machine.
Right.
Just blow you up and drag you about, and you wouldn't know what was happening.
Straight up.
Yeah. Anyway, so he gets in, can you come? Yeah. So I ended up staying there through the rest of the year. September, Rip Rogers is on the tour.
Yeah.
Rip Rogers came in to my trailer one day and said, are you still in touch with WCW? This is 92 September. I said, well, you know, the old way, I don't know if this was like when you were starting, but the way we used to get booked everywhere, wherever you went, this was one of them tricks, wherever you went, you just send a postcard from Durban, South Africa. Hello, this is Steve Regal, just telling you I'm working here, and send it to all the promoters you knew, because it made you sound like you were in demand,
Right.
which you were.
Yeah.
Well, he said, you still in touch with WCW? I said, and this is funny because WWE, I had a letter off them every 2 months, came to my house in Blackpool, set with a printed letter. We've got you on file whenever there's something comes. I was still getting those letters a year after I came to America.
Who was sending those letters?
Somebody in the
Okay.
office, I don't know.
But they was
would come
maintaining
in.
touch.
Yes.
Okay.
Never heard anything off
Yeah.
WCW because you know how unorganised that was, right?
Yeah.
So, but Rip Rogers said to me, have you got nice handwriting? And I went, well, yeah, it's the only one thing I ever did at school. You know, I got nothing else, but I can write. My knuckles tell the tales of that because nuns used to batter us over the hands with like a cane force you to write.
So you get pretty handwriting.
That's the only thing I've got.
Yeah.
Right, is good handwriting. So he said, Bill Watts has just took over WCW. He said, and I've worked for him, and he said he'd like you, but he's very particular about certain things. He said, because about every couple of months I would send out like a printed resume, you know, like and whatever, you know, just another 8, because you never sent videos in them days. It was 8x10s, just a picture of you.
Yeah,
you know.
that was all.
Yeah, it was it, 8x10, and your resume, and I've worked here, there, you know, and you can call this fella for a reference, or this fella. That was the way it was. So he said, this may sound strange, but if I dictate it to you, can you write it? He said, because he likes to hear certain words. I went, yeah, of course I can, yeah. So there's all these sayings like, I train diligently and this and that, you know, this and that.
Yeah.
So I wrote this letter, I sent it, and used to have to, it was about an 1/8 of a mile walk from my caravan to the phone box to call home every day, you know.
Yeah.
So obviously that was the way it was, a handful of coins and call back to the wife. I go and call. About 5 days later, I call home one day. She said, can you call this number straight away? I sent this letter off that Ripper told me about. Can you call this number? Bill Watts wants to talk to you straight away. So I get straight away put through from his secretary to him. I'm like in the phone box. Honestly, my hands was going in and out like a fiddler's elbow trying to put these coins in this thing like that. Couldn't get enough coins in, like just eating them up, calling them.
Don't hang up on me now.
Yeah, calling from America, right. Big pocket full of change. And he said, I'd like you to come and work for me. Can you come like now? And I said, I'm sorry, I can't. I said, I'm here till Christmas. He went silent for a while. And he went, have you got a contract? I said, no, but I've given me word that I'm going to be here till Christmas. And he went, and another long silence. I thought, well, that's me screwed, but, you know, that's the way I am. That's the way I do business. He went, you've definitely got the job now. Most people would have just quit to come here, he said, and I like that in somebody. He said that you didn't quit, you know, and you give your word. He said, that's sealed the deal. When can you, he said, I'll get you here. He said, when you've finished there, I said, well, 2 days before Christmas. He said, well, I'll get you here for the 1st of January.
That's awesome.
Then it was just a matter of my wife at home having to find that much, because I was in Germany, finding that much stuff to get visas and stuff on all these programs. Everything that I'd ever done for the last 10 years, she had to find proof of that I was a wrestler, you know, to get these. It's easy, a lot easier for them to get visas now. And she was sending stuff. And by the time I went, I got here, you know, it's not that easy to get visas. I landed on the 23rd of January, and then the first day I met you was the 25th of January, 1993.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
Do you own a home or condo? Or perhaps you rent a house or apartment? Sure you do. And Geico knows it can be hard work. Because whether you own or rent, you still have to fill it full of your stuff. Your furniture, the flat screen, and all the boxes of stuff that have been sitting there ever since you moved in, but haven't unpacked. It's hard to find the time, right? But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. That way, you'll rest easy knowing that your home and all your stuff is protected, like the furniture and that flat screen. Plus, getting a quote on homeowners and renters insurance is super easy through Geico. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. You know, like going through all those boxes of stuff. Visit geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, back in business here, talking with Lord Stephen Regal, William Regal, whatever I'm calling
King
you.
of the Jabroni tribe.
King of the Jabroni tribe.
We used to sing that song all the time to me. What was that all about?
I don't know.
Lord Stephen Regal, King of the Jabroni tribe. I don't know. You had all kinds of verses for it and everything. You actually put thought into it.
Different space at a different time.
Yeah.
We was on a bunch of different levels back then. We're both on the straight and narrow these days. Hey, man, what was your favorite town to work in? Anywhere in the United States?
I used to like that place we used to do in Columbia, South Carolina. You know,
why'd you like that?
You know, there's like the stage and that. I watched you and Ricky wrestle like 45 minutes one night in there. I don't know. It was weird that. It was just that little place, but there was just an atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was just one of those places that I always, you know, these great big arenas, but after a while they all become, you know, obviously Chicago and the Garden and places. But there's just the intimacy about that place was something magic about it.
I thought I enjoyed back in the day when we were doing TV in Atlanta because, you know, we just make those towns. I mean, it was Dothan, Alabama, it was Columbus, Georgia, it was Macon, Georgia. It was, what were those couple of towns in South Carolina that were kind of close by?
Yeah,
we do those. Anderson.
Greenville and Anderson.
Yeah, Greenville and Anderson. But everything was so local. And those were kind of, and I remember those days, the buildings were usually half to three-quarters full.
Yeah.
And those were television taping. So, but, you know, houses were where they were. The business wasn't the greatest period of, you know, we've seen.
That was the best time. I think my favorite time period of my career was that point in time when there was me and you were traveling and we were on all those shows, what they called the Beat Crew. But it was
the Beat Crew was rocking,
it was rocking. We had the best working team, and we were in all, and you go to like Florida and we'd base ourselves in Orlando and we'd do all those little Davie, Florida, all these little towns for like 10 days, and we'd come back, do TV in Atlanta, and then we'd do the Carolinas for a week or two, and then we'd do the Georgia show. But those ones when we were away and me and you were doing them drives, and you just go and you'd work hard and you'd come out and you'd be sweating and it was just magic.
It was, and the business was a lot more simple back then, it seemed. I mean, it's a giant machine.
Do your thing, right? And go out and do your
get
stuff.
A shower and get down the road.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day when we was filming TVs in Orlando, Florida, you and me used to stay out in the hotel at Kissimmee, and there was that British pub, Rover's Return, where you and me would always go, man, we'd get loaded up on Guinness, throw darts all night long, go back to the hotel and do it all again, and that was some great times.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite match, or just a list of a couple of matches that are your favorite of all time?
That I've had?
No, just any match that you would like to watch, that you've liked to watch.
My favorite match of all time was the match that's on, you can watch it on YouTube, is Marty Jones against Mark Rocco from 1978. Marty's wearing red tights. That's my favorite match. Then those 89 Flair Steamboat matches. Yeah, I got those on tape, and I used to do my squats to watching them. Yeah, that 1 hour match, I used to put that on, and I used to just stand and do squats watching it, or step ups. Yeah, weird, but I used to do that, and I thought, well, if I can do this, I can keep up with them. Right, and I'd do it for a full hour with them. But that series of matches they had then were fantastic. There's that many. My favourite live match that I ever saw was in South Africa, which was again Marty Jones against Gamma Singh from Calgary. Really? Gamma was incredible. If you watch him from the Stampede stuff, he worked as a villain. When he was a wrestling babyface, we got to Durban. It's an outside show, and they were on main event. I'd been on early. About 5. It was always a walk-up business there. About 5 o'clock, it started torrential raining.
Uh-oh.
By the time we get to the show at 7, there's like, usually there'd be probably 4, 5, 6,000 there. It's a tennis stadium. There's probably 1,000 diehard fans, right? They go on last in torrential rain with all the fans moved up into a stand, a covered stand. So there's nobody sat around ringside at all, just empty, except for me. I went and sat in the rain, pouring down, and they did 12 5-minute rounds straight through with no falls. And it was like that scene in that film Paradise Alley, you know, at the end when they're like slipping on the water and like,
yeah.
And they just work, and I'm like, I'm totally in awe to this day of what I witnessed that day. I've never seen it on. Maybe it's on a film somewhere, because there was one just turned up on YouTube recently. I had no idea it existed. My first ever time in Durban in 1989. There's a full match of me and there when I was 20. So somebody may have filmed that match, but it was in the rain.
Right.
I don't know if I'd want to watch it because it might not hold up to my memories, and that would ruin it for me. But that, what else have I seen? I've seen that. Well, I mean,
what did you think going back to what was it, WrestleMania 3, the Savage versus Steamboat match?
This is a weird one for me,
and I know why.
Yeah, I loved it until I talked to Ricky about it.
Right. Okay. Enough said. Because I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really put me off. Like,
yeah.
I still love it.
If you just watch it now for what it is, and I mean, it's for wrestling fan standards, it's one of the greatest matches of all time.
Incredible.
But when we're talking about on the inside, what we're talking about, as far as your stay here in the States, or when you was over in England, your favorite world champion body of work here in America. Because you get different guys. You get guys that are funk guys. You get guys that are race guys. You get guys that are flair guys. You guys get a Michaels guys or a Bret Hart. Are you where are you at on that?
I have to say Ric Flair. I think just because.
Okay, now what was it about Ric Flair? Because he's my favorite pro wrestler of all time, and you're going to hear many people, depending on what camp they're in, and again, wrestling is subjective. And people are going to say, if you've seen one Ric Flair match, you've seen them all. Well, that's like saying if you've heard one, Boston song or Led Zeppelin song or Metallica song, you've heard them all, because everybody, every band plays within their structure of what they do. Every wrestler wrestles within the framework of what they do. So why would you say Ric Flair in your estimation?
That was I didn't see American wrestling until 2 years after I was already wrestling. Right? Couldn't get any tapes.
Right.
People forget that. I didn't own a video until. I was just leaving. Well, my parents had one just as I was leaving home.
Yeah.
We had black and white TVs when I was a kid, It's that.
Yeah.
So I got some tapes, and it was one of the first stuff I got was the NWA from Charlotte. And so I've seen him go out there with all these people, and just something about him, just the way he did his stuff, and just the charisma and everything about it, and just carrying himself like a pro. And then, like, I got to see. I didn't see any. I saw all the best matches because that's the only ones I was getting. I wasn't seeing everything.
Yeah,
I was seeing the Steamboat matches and the Bruiser Brody matches and people stuff that was like, oh my God, this fella just keeps going, and that was a lot of it as well. It's just the conditioning, and to be able to, I can go a long time, but at my pace. Right. His pace was 20. Same with you. Your pace is 20 notches above anything I've ever done, because that's the way you were. And I'd watch you in these long matches with Rocky and with H and that, and I'd be watching. How do these fellas keep going?
Most of them I was blowed up, but I kept going.
No, but you kept going.
But the thing about Flair was, what I liked what he did was, sometimes you need to take you down in a match and just by feeling it or listening or his instincts, he'd know when things that needed to be put in motion. Time to speed things up. Time to shut somebody down. Time to get a little heat. A little bit of hope. Something. Yeah. His timing was just so good, and he did it within just you watched his body. He looked like a pro. He was so relaxed. Yeah. He adjusted trunks a little bit, put his hair back, maybe a woo or whatever, but just the way he executed his business. Yeah. And when it got time to get nasty, he was mean. He was kind of that, that cowardly heel. And I mean, so he wasn't a tough guy.
And I liked his.
But when it came time to get mean, he got mean.
What I liked was when I used to watch another thing that drew me to him was that the way he did certain things, and I knew he'd had some kind of a British influence, and then I found out later Billy Robinson, because the way he put a wrist lock on was the proper way to put a wrist lock on,
right?
Instead of that old Chinese burn kind of thing that people do. I don't still get that, you know what I mean? But he put a proper wrist lock on, and little things that he did correctly.
Right.
I used to love watching Dory Funk Jr.
I loved to watch Dory too.
So I just like the grinding and just the work
At
standard.
first, when I started watching Dory Jr. stuff, and this was in a different frame of mind back in the early 90s, I mean, I was like, this guy's kind of boring. But as I got educated to like what is great wrestling, I was like, oh, Dory Funk Jr. is one of the best. And I loved watching his stuff and still do. I mean, all of his stuff looked fantastic and totally credible.
See, I have an open. There's certain ways, I put myself in different times when I'm watching wrestling.
Yes,
I'll watch any kind of wrestling and enjoy it if there's effort.
Right.
I don't care if it's right or wrong. Well, people say there's no right and wrong psychology. It's just different. You go to different countries, they do things. You work for different companies, they do things a different way. But as long as there's effort,
right.
So sometimes I'm looking at it from that.
Right.
If I'm in a mood to look at it from a point of view of, like, I see a lot of people. My thing was, and this is, I never, because I wasn't very good at this to start with, and I never bought into the whole coming from a carnival and a show atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't. I never wanted that term about being a good worker.
Right.
This was the way I based my work on. I used to talk to loads of people, and I'm sure you do, who don't like wrestling, right?
Right.
And when they used to say, when people say to me, I still do, yeah, but when them wrestlers do that, it looks. That was all I ever wanted to do was, I'm going to make sure my stuff doesn't look like that.
Right.
That was my whole mindset on how to make my wrestling.
Interesting.
And it was like, if you say that looks phony when they do that, I'm going to make sure I work on mine until it doesn't. I'm going to make sure that whether you like me or not, when you watch it, it looks as believable as you can do. Or if in doing comedy, you understand that I'm doing comedy and it's funny.
Right.
Or if I'm everything is that much. If I
Right.
talk, you say that all you ever hear from wrestlers is.
Right.
That's not what I'm going to do.
Right.
Or if I do it, you're going to know that there's a reason for
Right.
it. And there's a lot of thought out stuff, you know what
Right.
I mean, that I've always thought like that as far as getting in. I haven't got any, I've got no athletic ability. I can go my pace and I can do my stuff and I do it. And I've always think, avoid anything you can't do and do the things you can.
Right.
So I can't do that, but I can do this.
Right.
If you want believable looking wrestling, and I think I'm as good as anybody
Right.
at it. That's just what I do. Grinding away and storytelling stuff. If you want comedy, I can do comedy.
Right.
But it's just watching other people and, God, they're good at that. I marvel at people. I sit there marveling at people going, God, I would never think to do that in a million years.
Right.
I watched Sean. I watched when he, especially when he came back in, more so when he came back in 2000. And just that look and that thing, that look in his eyes. And I'm all about believing. You know,
Yeah.
and I say this job comes down to three things. Whatever, it's got nothing to do. It starts in your brain, it goes into your heart, and it comes out on your face. And if one of them things is not right, some people buy into it, but a majority, to really capture the masses, you've got to truly believe in what you're doing.
Right.
And you've got to show it on your face.
Right.
And if it's not showing on your face and through your eyes, and people go, if you can see into you never trust anybody that they won't look at you in the eyes. And as wrestlers, we seem to forget that. Everything comes through the eyes. We attract from that. It's that belief in yourself.
And you hit it right on the head. I agree with everything you're saying about those three things. Sometimes these days, when you can pick a green guy up who's trying to do those things, but the belief is not there, and you see through them because they're overacting. And so I totally get with what you're saying, but some people, when they don't really believe it, but they're trying to emulate that, it's not the same. There's a big difference, and to me that just comes with learning the trade. Hey, we're going to wrap this thing up. I know you got to get down the road. I'm going to download this thing right now as soon as we get through talking. I lost the last damn computer chip.
Oh.
We're here in Los Angeles, California. You're in my house. You're down in Los Angeles for another 2 days. There's a big cold thing going through Atlanta. You can't get back to the ATL. What are you going to do for the rest of your time here? We were here for Monday Night Raw. I went down to Staples Center. You and I talked. I talked with a bunch of guys. Saw Road Dogg, Jesse James, Badass, Billy Gunn. A lot of guys had fun hanging out. Got a chance to finally talk to Bray Wyatt, good kid.
Yes.
Starting to buy into the gimmick.
Yeah.
He's got his head screwed on straight.
Yep.
And what's the guy in the orange jumpsuit with the Wyatt family?
Eric Rowan.
Yeah, Eric. I met him yesterday. I didn't get a chance to meet Luke Harper. You had some words with him.
Yeah.
He's going to turn up the volume. It was a good show. Bray Wyatt caught a good win off that tag match. Rey Mysterio didn't hurt Ray none. Vicious looking gimmick out of nowhere.
Yep.
Clean in the middle. Wyatt's are speeding up the process. Man, the show's changed a little bit, man. I tell you what, you go down there, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, man. I went to see Kevin Dunn in the production truck, and there's monitors. I mean, more monitors than there ever was. There was a pre-show going on. I mean, it's like I had to leave. There was so much going on, it was blowing my mind.
I marvel. That's another thing. I sit around and I go, how do these people do this?
I don't know.
I'm a part of it, and I'm like,
how
do you just watch Kevin walk out of his truck for 2 minutes, and I'm thinking, I look at him and I'm trying to. How does he do this? How does he manage to do? How brilliant is he? They can do all this. And everybody I'm looking at the production people. I'm going, how do they do all this?
Dude, I mean, all the wires that go running everywhere. Oh. And I used to always go talk to Kevin Dunn every time I'd go to Monday Night Raw. He's a friend of mine, but just the way it keeps growing, and they're feeding the app, all the different stuff going on. Before we go, they're going to launch WWE Network.
Yes.
I went down for the presentation in Las Vegas. It was badass to know that they've got 100,000 hours of original content, all this other stuff. Legends House is finally going to play. The reality show they filmed a couple of years ago and couldn't find a home for. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with those guys underneath one roof. What are your thoughts about the launch of WWE Network and what it means to have access to all of this programming and content?
It's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, I'm looking at it from a fan perspective.
I am too, because I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and it's like there's all this, but we probably take for granted what we've been a part of. But there's all this stuff that most
of the stuff I've been a part of. Now, I don't want to watch my stuff. I just want to be able to type something in and have immediate access. Because it's going to blow YouTube out the water. Because it's YouTube with slick sophistication and presentation.
And I'm really looking forward. There's such a lot of stuff that I didn't see because I couldn't get anything in England.
Oh, you're going to have a field day.
I didn't see a lot of WWE stuff because I was always working.
Yeah.
It was only on Sky, and it didn't come on until the late 80s. Well, I was wrestling, and I certainly didn't have Sky, There's a lot of stuff, NWA stuff, all those territories that they own. That's what interests me, and that's where, if you're smart, you'll be learning from. If you stayed in a territory for a long time, you had to be good and do different stuff because you had to keep going back to the same places. And that's what I'm fascinated in.
Right.
What did these fellas do that stayed around in these territories for a long time? So I'll be picking. Why did people buy into his act? And I'm really, my brain's going overtime now about thinking that's when I'll start, because whether I use it or not, I'll give it to somebody else to use, or try and use that, or try and use that. Well, that idea works, and there's such a big lot of new stuff that I can look about, and just going back and watching stuff that we were a part of, and you forget that. I don't, like I say, I don't want to watch any of my wrestling stuff.
No, me
I was
neither.
never really that happy with it. I've never been happy with it.
Oh, I can watch my stuff and I cringe.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'll go back and watch all the comedy stuff I've done because I enjoyed all that. You know what I mean? Because that much of that stuff, that's my stuff, because I pull off that, and there's a bit of Tommy Cooper and there's a bit of this and so but just to watch everybody's stuff and stuff that I never thought about before, you just get a thought in your head. I'm doing it every day. I get a thought and I'm Googling things about bands or wrestlers and that. I can just watch that now, and that's going to be fantastic.
That, in fact, $9.99 a month, and this isn't no plug, but I mean $9.99 a month to get all the pay-per-views, including WrestleMania, and you're still going to get your Monday Night Raw. You're going to get your SmackDown on TV. I mean, you got access to all this stuff. So anyway, it's going to be a badass thing, and so many guys have before us have paid dues.
Yes.
We did our thing, and the current generation's
doing
their thing, and the people into the future. But you know, Steve, to be good in this business, because you did it, you got to live it, eat it, breathe it, sleep it.
Michael Hayes says this isn't a job; it's a lifestyle. It's true, isn't it?
It is.
And everything suffers because of it, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. You should know what you get. I was told my first day into this, you come in with nothing, you go out with nothing. Enjoy the ride.
Right.
And know what you're getting into. And that's what it is. It's all time-consuming, isn't it? That's probably why I only get 2 hours sleep a night, because my head won't stop thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's for me or for other people, I live and constantly thinking.
But these cats
about
right now, man, the current crop of cats that are in the ring right now, whether it's guys or divas. I mean, guys specifically. We're talking about the guys. Man, you got so much time traveling. A lot of these guys in buses, or if you're not behind the wheel, if you're riding shotgun, or you can be watching stuff and picking up stuff. Like you said, seeing what's working, listening to that crowd. Yeah. What's old is new. I mean, hell, half the stuff that people used to do, nobody's doing anymore.
Yeah.
And just. Anyway, not to be late to beat a dead horse, but anyway, you're going to haul ass, go do your thing, shop in Beverly Hills, ride down Rodeo Drive. Did you get your convertible?
You know better than that. I'm scared to death, me. I drive 40 miles an hour. What was all that about you? You're mental, you driving. I used to scare the life out of me.
We used to, yeah.
Yeah, you are. You're mental.
Yeah.
I'm a 70 mile an hour man. That's it. I don't go.
Man. Now these days, I buckle up for safety. And if I get on the freeway and I'm driving down to Texas, I'm driving, with a little bit of radar, maybe 85, but I got the seatbelt in. I finally
never go in a convertible, because I've been in a car and had it roll on me. And
I'm not a convertible fan.
The only thing that saved me was the roof.
Yeah.
So that was
I don't dig that.
Thought of.
Yeah, no. I'm not a drop top guy. No. I got to have a ceiling over my head while I travel. I'm gonna get a roll bar put in my stuff. Anyway, I'm talking to Steve Regal. He's got a haul ass, and I do too. Catch you down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Get around for Halloween with Pluto TV's 31 Nights of Horror. All month long, Pluto TV is bringing you the best Halloween movies, shows, and more. Watch classic horror movies like The Grudge or The Blair Witch Project, or scream along with your favorite stars like Ryan Reynolds in Life. Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows. The best part, it's so free it's chilling. No credit card, no sign up, no fees. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start screaming now.
What's up, everybody? It's All-Star and World Series champ Nick Swisher here, and I'm stoked to tell you about my new podcast, The Nick Swisher Show, right here on Podcast One. If you know me, you know I've worn a lot of hats in my career, and each one of them has had highs, lows, and a whole lot of learning in between. And that's exactly what I'm bringing to this podcast. You're going to get crazy interviews with athletes, from their struggles to their successes and all their unbelievable superstitions along the way. You're going to hear from hometown heroes that are stepping up to the plate and making positive change and influences in their communities. I mean, we've got scientists, coaches, comedians. I'm telling you, whether you're an athlete, a parent, a coach, or just looking for a little energy in your life, then home plate is right here. It's old school soul with new school vibes. It's the Nick Swisher Show, coming soon wherever you get your podcasts.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Big Brother Jake, a.k.a. Jake Warner. My government name. Check it out. I host a show called the Big Brother Jake Podcast, and I've taken my talents to the biggest and baddest platform on the planet. That's right, baby. Podcast One. My show is unique as I talk about everything. Life, sports, entertainment, being a single dad juggling several jobs. I'm a hot mess, but it's damn entertaining. Subscribe and review now on Apple Podcasts and listen on Podcast One or wherever you get your podcasts.